The purpose of today's podcast is to help you find ways to experience mindfulness. When you're feeling upset or distracted or anxious or just anything, practicing mindfulness is a great way to improve your level of inner peace and empathy. And I have a few tips here that I would like to share with you today. This last several decades have been very, very interesting. It's been a very busy world, and with technology and data sharing increasing, or the ability to share is less difficult. It's very easy to let ourselves become distracted and focus our attention on multiple things at once. Everything from anything that could ever cause you any kind of worries, and I see it more and more, especially as a family law attorney, is our phones seem to get us in so much trouble. It's not the phone is not the cause of our problems, but it's like a facilitator. It helps us to communicate with others, get information, or give information. It's just a very convenient way. But I do suggest that we take a step back from our technology, from our small screen devices, and so we can create a little bit of space for ourselves in an attempt to become more mindful, less restless, and distracted. By practicing mindfulness, we are better able to become more aware of things happening around us and gain a greater sense of presence and situational awareness. I do recall several years ago I saw a very sad video on social media. It was it was a security camera footage from a small village in China. It looked like a young girl was walking down the street with her, and she was only looking at her cell phone. It was dark, it was hard to see, and walked over this, it's kind of hard to describe it. There was like a waterway next to this sidewalk, and but there was no handrails, and it was a pretty good fall, like maybe over 10 feet. That she had just without paying attention, just only looking at her phone, just walked over the edge, fell into water, and she drowned. It was very sad, but that's I guess. And I'm not making light of that. It's very tragic, and I'm very sad for her and her family. But it does point out that if we're not aware of where we're going or what we're doing, or we're not aware of our surroundings, then we're not mindful. And then in this extreme case, the fact that she allowed herself to be distracted with the small screen device and not having self-awareness of what's going on around her, it actually led to her death. Very sad. That's a very extreme example, but I feel it is relevant. So that's why I'd like to point out that when we do practice mindfulness, we become more aware, more situationally aware of things happening around us, and have a greater sense of presence. I am also a believer that mindfulness can help you become calmer, be more productive at school or work, and move towards a healthier, higher level of inner peace. And the good news is that mindfulness can become a part of your everyday life. It's not something you can only practice when you're on vacation, and that's only once a year or whatnot. It's something you can do every day. Here are some tips on how to make it part of or build it into your everyday life. All right, my first tip. I would like for you to observe your breathing. Take a few minutes from your day to focus on your breathing. It's important to remember that mindfulness isn't a once-off kind of thing. It takes time and practice to develop it. It's a learned skill. It's not really something genetic, and also or inherited. It's not something you really inherit. It's something you learn, just like empathy, the ability to understand and feel someone else's pain. You don't always have to agree with the person you empathize with, but at least you kind of understand where they're coming from. So, again, observe your breathing. You can start to practice your breathing by taking some deep breaths in and out. And while you do this, try casting your wandering thoughts aside. But hey, you know what? Why are we pushing these thoughts out? Let's just let them inside. Just let them inside. Let them have their day. Let them have their moment. And let it fade away. I think maybe the reason we have these stuck thoughts is that we refuse to confront the issue. Maybe that's the way to put it. We don't want to confront the issue, so it just never really goes away. It's just a stuck thought. So maybe let's be mindful. Let's think about it. Let's breathe. Let's let the thought in. Not fight it. Process it. Think about it. Maybe redirect it, and then just let it go. Okay? Another great thing you can do is go for a nature walk. Going for a walk can be great exercise, a great way to get fresh air and clear your head. But even while you're going on a walk, it's still possible to get distracted when you're caught up in your thoughts. So let's try to be present. Did you know that meditation by walking actually allows us to guide ourselves out of the autopilot we sometimes find ourselves in? It's as easy as finding a quiet place to go on a walk, have a moment to be with nature. Now, if you can't do that, maybe just walk up and down the hallway or on the city street. Try not to let yourself get distracted too much. As you walk, I want you to pay attention to your breathing, the smells in the air. What do you smell? What do you hear? Are there birds, squirrels making noises? What do you breathe? Is there pollen out there? I don't know. Listen to the lifting and falling of your feet. Listen to your own footsteps. Notice the movement in your legs and body. Now, I want you to notice your cell phone notifications. That's a joke. Silence your cell phone. Put it on airplane mode. We're on a walk. And if you find your thoughts are wandering, bring them back to the sensation of your movement. So we're going to focus less on our thoughts, focus more on our movement. Okay, another great tip. I want you to consider taking little mini breaks throughout the day. If you're finding it difficult to be still, it's important to take time out of your day. Mindfulness can help you refocus your energy. You can think about how you're feeling in the moment, whether you're tired or have any aches, and prevent your mind from wandering to other things. One thing I recommend personally would be yoga. And I'm not suggesting you do the whole yoga pants, yoga shirt, water bottle, all that fancy stuff with the yoga mat. No, I mean, you can, before you get up or before you leave for work, you can take a few minutes, get ready, do your hygiene, whatever, and have a few minutes, do some stretches, quick exercises, to also help break up all keep the lymph in the body flowing. It also helps with the healing process. So there's nothing wrong with stretching, stretching your muscles and flexing, your joints. Keep that range of motion. And this is not something you just have to do in the morning. You can do some type of stretches during your mini breaks throughout the day. No one's going to. You're never. I don't think you're ever going to get in trouble for standing up and stretching and maybe going on a quick little walk during your break. To make the most of your mini breaks, sit down comfortably and focus your attention fully on the feeling of your feet touching the floor, your hands on your desk, your bottom on your chair, your back laying on the backrest, maybe your head touching the headrest in your chair, putting your hand back down on the desk, just kind of pushing down. You kind of feel that. Also get your other senses involved and focus on what you smell, what you see in the room, what you feel or taste at the present moment. Take at least a few minutes to pay attention to your body instead of what you've been doing. Okay, something else you can do is try to avoid doing too many things at once. Have you ever started doing something only to have forgotten what you're doing? Sometimes our brains can get a little fuzzy and we get sidetracked. It can happen, say, if you're doing homework and a friend sends you a message, or your boss needs you to work on an important task, but your other boss needs you to do something else, and your other boss also needs work done. So it can get overwhelming. Doing too many things can be distracting, so it's best to limit yourself to doing one task at a time. This becomes more important when you're doing something which requires your full attention. Okay, something else? Create a journal. Keeping a journal can be a great way to reflect on your thoughts and feelings in a completely private and safe way. You could consider a bullet journal or just write down how you're feeling each day. This helps you to track your mood over time and causes you to reflect on how you're feeling each day. Maybe also in your journal, it doesn't have to just be your emotions and how you're feeling. Maybe have a little box you can check, were you ever in like pain that day, physical pain, a lot of joint pain, a lot of negative emotions that day. Maybe you're mad at somebody. Maybe you're an upsetting family member's in town and you're just so stressed out about everything. Maybe that person's presence is causing the problems. I can't answer all these questions, but I think if you keep a journal and you can look for patterns and see, okay, maybe even check your weight every day and keep a little journal of where your weight is. Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it tied to your stress level? Was something crazy going on that month? That would explain why maybe your body weight or BMI or fat spiked or dipped, whatever. These are things you can keep with a journal. Also, there are some, I'm not going to recommend anyone specifically, but there are mindfulness apps out there. But what I like the most is actually YouTube. A lot of Zen music that you can listen to, relaxing music to kind of bring down your stress level. All completely free. And sometimes I'll be honest with you, if I have to, when I go to work at the law firm, if I know there's going to be a stressful meeting later, or I've got to deal with a stressful CPS client, or hell, I'm just going to be in court and it's going to be a big stressful oral argument, I'll go to start listening to the Zen music before I get stressed because I know it's coming. So it kind of helps to soften the blow. Or maybe I'm caught off guard and something stresses me out, causes me stress, and then just try to listen to relaxing music. Like I said, YouTube is probably one of the best sources I'm going to recommend. If you have the ability to take a few minutes off from work, maybe go outside, just like I said, just go on a walk. Walk around the parking lot. Go to the nearby park. Walk there. Also, another great tip, and I guess this is definitely part of the meditation and aspect, but also goes to physical health. Whenever I have to be somewhere, like at a meeting, I have to drive to that meeting, or I have to court or whatever, I always try to arrive about 20-30 minutes early. That way I can kind of walk around for a little bit, get a little bit of fresh exercise, clear my head. And also, if I'm going into a meeting, going into court, it's good to go outside, walk around for a few minutes, get some fresh air, kind of clear your head. And, if you're upset or stressed out about something, getting that little bit of extra exercise, release the endorphins to kind of break up the lymph, that would actually help you to not be so stressed out later. So, good thing to consider. Anyways, I hope this podcast really helped you out. It's helped me. I want to thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing.